Hello, American federal government, the spring of 2025, and I'm recording this video, and we got about 12 inches of snow. And by the time this semester is over, it'll probably be 95 degrees and warm and sunny. But we have a lot to learn about American federal government between now and then. So the purpose of this video is just to welcome you to class, to talk about what you'll be learning and your expectations and kind of how the class will go. So first of all, welcome to class. My name is Mr. Brennan, and I've got this information in the classroom, but I've taught at Poto since the year 2000, and before that I taught in Tulsa. I teach AP classes at Poto High School, and I've taught at Carl Albert since like 01 or 02. And I enjoy teaching, especially American federal government, because that's actually what my graduate degree is in. And why do you have to take this class? Well, every single person that goes to college in the entire country, in the entire United States, has to take this class. And why do you suppose that is? Well, because the only way our democracy works is to have an informed electorate. And if our electorate is not informed, our democracy fails. And we see that more now than ever. We have a whole unit, a whole chapter on the media, because there's so much misinformation out there. It's shocking. We'll talk about that in more detail, but we're going to learn the basics of American federal government in this class, but you're going to spend the rest of your life hopefully informing yourself about American federal government. And if you're getting that information from, say, cable news channels, especially like Fox News, or from YouTube videos, TikTok, that's where so much of this misinformation comes from. And if you've got the wrong information, you won't be able to make informed decisions when you go to vote. And voting is essential to keep the democracy going. And so it's extremely important to know not just about how the American federal government works, but on where you get your information from and how you inform yourself. There's so much more to it than that, for sure, and we'll go over that in a lot more detail as we get underway and get going. But that is the crux of this class, because without an informed electorate, our democracy fails. We have in this class, the nuts and bolts. I do try to make it as simple and straightforward as possible. Now, simple and straightforward doesn't always necessarily mean easy and not time consuming, but the expectations are known. So here's what you can expect. Each week, you have essentially three things to do. First and foremost, you need to read the chapter. The textbook We the People by Ginsburg is available at the Carl Albert Library. That's probably the best place to get it. And yes, you do need a textbook, because you will need to read the chapter each week. After you read the chapter, I have a discussion post that you're to do. Now, the discussion post is really most of the times like a formal essay or a paragraph writing. Sometimes you take notes over films I have you watch, and then do a formal reflective writing on that. And by formal, I mean you need to do the spell check, you need to do proper grammar. It is not a social media post, it is a formal submission. And so the first thing when I grade those, if I see misspelling, if I see a lot of grammatical errors or just poor organization, one big huge run-on paragraph, then you're not going to get an A, because that's just laziness. I mean, you've got spell check, you've got grammar check. If there's a squiggly line there, there's something wrong with it. But a lot of students are just doing it on their phone, and they just submit sloppy work. And in some ways, it's easy for me to grade because I'm reading. I'm like, well, this person didn't take time for this, so it's definitely not an A and going to be less than that. So be reflective in your writing. Really think about it. And here's another very, very important thing that's new for spring of 2025. Last semester, I'm getting a flood of AI. If I even suspect AI, I'm turning it back to you with a 0, and you're going to have to redo it. I will allow you to redo it, unless you're just doing it every week, you're doing the same thing. But AI and these assignments are pretty easy to pinpoint. First of all, AI tends to use vocabulary and language that is well outside the average student. It's things that usually I wouldn't use. And second, the answer is not tailored to the prompt that I'm giving you. The prompt I give you is usually pretty specific. And when you do AI, your reflection needs to be more personal. And if it's just kind of general and it doesn't really apply, that's AI. If I turn it back to you and you didn't use AI, well, send me an email and explain it to me. Even if I just suspect it, I'm turning it back, because I cannot stand the thought that students are so lazy that they're not even going to bother, that they just turn in AI. I just cannot allow that anymore. So that's one big thing. What else do you do? So you do the chapter reading, you do the discussion post, which is the formal writing, and then you do the chapter reading quiz, which is, I think, 25 questions usually, and you have 1 hour to complete it. And you, of course, can use your book, but that's a good reason on why you need to read ahead, because you will not probably have time to look up 25 questions in 1 hour. So you kind of need to be familiar with the material. That's why you need to read before you ever take that. And guys, that is it. That's what we do. And it's very straightforward. Week 1, chapter 1. Week 2, chapter 2. There's a schedule in your syllabus. And that's it. Every week, that's what we do. There are 2 additional things I have you do. One is a letter to the editor, and the other one is a letter to a congressman. Those are each worth 25 points, and we'll do those later, like when we get to the legislative branch and when we get to the chapter on the media. But, and all together, those points add up to 1,000. If you get 900 to 1,000 points, you have an A, 800 to 900 is a B, and so on. If your computer crashes and you didn't complete a quiz, I do not go back and open things up. However, at the end of the semester, I add 25 points to everyone's score, presuming that at some point most of you are going to have a glitch. And so I just give the benefit of the doubt. I'm like, fine, here's 25 points. It shouldn't happen more than once. If it's happening more than once, then there's probably something on your end. You are welcome to communicate with me if you have additional problems, and on a case-by-case basis, I'll address that. But for the most part, I don't go back up and open up assignments. I don't open up tests. Once it's done, it's done. So you need to keep up with things. I will go ahead and open things up for the entire school year so you can work ahead. I started doing that last semester and it seemed to work pretty well. And that's it. That's the gist of this class. Each week I'll usually have an introductory video. Some of those might be dated because American federal government, of course, for example, next week, Donald Trump is going to be inaugurated president, and we've got a whole new government. And some of the things I've addressed is from last year, but I try to keep those updated periodically, but I don't update them every semester. It's a bit much. That's the gist of it. I've got about 10 minutes now that I've been talking, and I do try to keep my videos to under 10 minutes. So if there's something I haven't covered and you have a question about, please email me. I am very responsive. Email me, and I'll usually get back within a couple hours unless it's the weekend or a break, and then I'm a little bit slower on that. And that's the gist of it. So welcome to class. It's great to have you all here. And let's go ahead and get to work and learn about American federal government.